this is Dawn, and today I have a story for our young church. And it's the story of Elijah hearing the voice of God in a still small voice, in just a whisper. That's when Elijah heard God's voice. And so I thought we could retell that story today, and then maybe spend a couple minutes thinking about what are we supposed to learn from this. And so the story, which we'll hear on this coming weekend in our readings at church, it's about Elijah. So here's Elijah. So Elijah was a prophet, and so God told him different things to tell to different people. So he would go to different people and say different things about God, and some people liked hearing the things, and some people didn't like to be told what to do, so they weren't very happy with him. And so on this day, there were some people that were looking for Elijah because they didn't really like him. So Elijah went to a cave, and he sort of took shelter. He stayed in the cave where the people couldn't find him. But God said to him, go outside and stand outside in front of this cave, because the Lord is going to pass by you. And so Elijah's getting ready, and so the first thing that happens is there's a big, strong wind. And so today I have a fan. Let's see. So the wind comes by, and it's a big, strong wind, and Elijah gets blown around. But you know what? The Lord wasn't in that wind, in that big, strong wind. That wasn't when the Lord was. And then you know what happened next? Here's Elijah. Next, there was a big earthquake. And you know what? Elijah looked and he said, nope, the Lord's not in that big, loud earthquake. And guess what? There was another thing that happened. After the earthquake, there was a fire. And the fire went by. But guess what? The Lord wasn't in the fire. And after the fire, there was a tiny whispering sound. Just a very tiny whispering sound. And when Elijah heard the whispering sound, he knew that that's where the Lord was. The Lord was in the whispering sound. He wasn't in the big strong wind or in the earthquake or in the fire. The Lord was in this tiny whispering sound. And so what are we supposed to learn from that story, do you think? In our world, there's lots of noises. There's traffic noises, and there's television noises, all sorts of things. And sometimes when we're trying to hear what God is saying to us, we might get distracted by all those big loud sounds. But we need to listen for God in the whisper. So when we're trying to hear from God, we need to make some time to be quiet and just be quiet and listen to God. And what are some ways that we hear from God, do you think? Who helps us to hear God, or who speaks for God? Can we hear God's voice in our parents? Yeah. We can hear God in our teachers, from our friends, and from the Bible. All of those things help us to hear God's voice. It's not usually a loud voice. It's not a megaphone, but it's a whisper. We have to be quiet enough to think about what those people said and think, oh, I think God was telling me something in that story, or in that what my parents were trying to tell me. God's voice always tells us what is right, and we need to listen to his voice. Have you ever heard God speak to you in a small whisper? What has God said to you? Has he said that he loves you? He does. Do you think God is ever angry with you? No. God loves you so much. He only speaks to you and tells you how much he loves you and wants you to make good choices. He always is helping us to know what to do, what good things to do. And so this week, take some time and be quiet.